Cape Verde drew 2-2 with Uruguay. A nation of 525,000 people held a two-time World Cup champion to a draw. Curaçao, an island in the Caribbean with a population of 160,000, the smallest nation ever to qualify for a World Cup, drew against Ecuador. Their goalkeeper made save after save, and the stadium in Kansas City erupted for a country most Americans had never heard of. These aren't flukes. These are four nations playing in their first World Cup ever, and two of them are already threatening to advance out of the group stage. Here's who they are, how they got here, and why the biggest tournament in sports is better because of them.
Four nations are making their World Cup debut at the 2026 tournament: Cape Verde, Curaçao, Jordan, and Uzbekistan. The record for debutants at a single World Cup is 6, set in 2006. 4 is significant, and every one of them has a story that goes beyond just qualifying. Curaçao, with a population of just 156,000, became the smallest nation ever to qualify for a World Cup. The Dutch Caribbean Islands program was built on a generation of dual national players with Curaçaoan roots who grew up in the Netherlands and chose to represent the island of their heritage. Their captain is nicknamed Captain Blueface. Their qualification campaign was unbeaten through CONCACAF. They arrived at the World Cup having never played at this level, and on match day 2, they earned a draw against Ecuador. Cape Verde secured their spot by winning their African qualifying group, finishing ahead of Cameroon. A volcanic archipelago of 10 islands off the west coast of Africa, they have a population of 525,000. Their captain, Ryan Mendes, is 35 years old and plays in Turkey's second division. He was at the heart of the win that sealed their qualification. They held Uruguay to a 2-2 draw, a result that sent shockwaves through Group H and put them on the edge of advancing.
Uzbekistan became the first Central Asian nation ever to reach a FIFA World Cup. Since gaining independence after the Soviet Union collapsed in 1991, Uzbekistan had come close repeatedly and repeatedly fallen short. Playoff heartbreaks across 3 decades. Their captain described it simply: qualifying for the World Cup has been a dream for 38 million people for 34 years. They arrived under Fabio Cannavaro, the Italian World Cup winning captain of 2006, now coaching Uzbekistan into history. Their star player, Eldor Shomurodov, scored 21 goals in Turkey's league this season. Abdulkadir Husanov became the first Uzbek player ever to appear in the English Premier League when he joined Manchester City last year. Jordan qualified through traditional competition. No hosting shortcut, no playoff luck. They beat their Asian opponents across a grueling 2-year campaign and became one of only a handful of Middle Eastern nations to reach the World Cup without hosting it first. This was also the first time in history that 8 Arab nations qualified for the same World Cup, a number that would have been unthinkable even a decade ago. The critics of the 48-team expansion argued that it would bring weak nations to the tournament just to be humiliated. Germany beat Curaçao 7-1 in their opener. On paper, that looks like confirmation of the criticism. But that's not the full picture. Cape Verde drew with Spain before holding Uruguay to 2-2, leaving them on the verge of a historic round of 32 qualification. Curaçao earned a draw against Ecuador despite losing heavily to Germany. These aren't teams that traveled across the world to lose quietly. They came to compete, and in 2 cases, they have. The new format helps. The 8 best third-place teams advance, meaning you don't have to win your group. You just have to be good enough across 3 games to finish among the best losers. For a debutant nation, that changes everything. You don't need to beat the favorites. You need to be one team and hold another. And suddenly, you're in the knockout rounds of the World Cup. No debutante nation has ever won the World Cup, but Croatia finished 3rd in their debut in 1998. The United States finished 3rd in the very first tournament in 1930. History says first-timers can surprise everyone.
Cape Verde, Curaçao, Jordan, Uzbekistan. 4 countries that waited years, in some cases decades, for this moment. 4 nations whose players grew up watching the World Cup on television, knowing their country had never been there. And now they're in it. And 2 of them are refusing to go home quietly. They arrived without World Cup tradition, but with the motivation of teams that know they have already made history even before the opening whistle. Whatever happens in the group stage, that part is already true. The scoreboard can't take it back.